This is Tuesday, November 1st, 7 days until the 2016 presidential election, and this is the closer. I think, says the loyal senator in the 1962 film The Manchurian Candidate about his paranoia-mongering colleague, if John Iceland were a paid Soviet agent, he could not do more to harm this country than he is doing now. Putin, says Donald Trump in his speech at Grand Rapids, Michigan yesterday about his opponent Hillary Clinton, who she likes to say bad things about, you wonder why the world hates us. A former senior intelligence officer for a Western country, writes David Korn in Mother Jones magazine this morning, has provided the FBI with memos based on his recent interactions with sources contending the Russian government has for years tried to co-opt and assist Trump. If, said Donald Trump about Russia during the third presidential debate, we got along well, that would be good. The FBI, reports NBC News about Trump's erstwhile campaign confidant, has been conducting a preliminary inquiry into Donald Trump's former campaign manager Paul Manafort's foreign business connections. Wouldn't it be nice, Trump said at a speech at Virginia Beach nearly 2 months ago, if we got along with Russia? A group of computer scientists, reads a headline now at Slate.com, believes a Trump computer server was communicating with a Russian bank. At least, Trump said last December, when asked about Putin allegedly having opponents and journalists killed, he's a leader, unlike what we have in this country. I think our country does plenty of killing also. The speech is short, says the wife of the Senator Iceland character in The Manchurian Candidate, but it's the most rousing speech I've ever read. It's been worked on, here and in Russia, on and off, for over 8 years. Rallying a nation of television viewers to hysteria to sweep us up into the White House with powers that will make martial law seem like anarchy. Yes, I have employed the theatrical sleight of hand of conflating 2 movie quotes with 4 actual Trump quotes and 3 separate actual Trump-Russia scandal quotes being reported today. And I have done this because one of the fascinating, terrifying joys of that political science fiction classic, The Manchurian Candidate, is that once you buy into the premise that the Russians would go to any lengths to influence who becomes president of the United States, the rest of the plot quickly lines up behind a kind of inevitable logic. And once you buy into the premise that not the fictional film version of the Soviets of 1962, but the real-life version of the post-Soviet Russians of 2016 would go to any lengths to influence who becomes president of the United States, the kaleidoscopic chaos of Donald Trump's fever dream of a campaign also quickly lines up behind a kind of inevitable logic. So think of the inevitable logic of the plot points in the screenplay of what we might title the Trump-churian Candidate. 2 weeks ago, Trump, who has continually, again and again, even during the presidential debates, defended the Russians against charges that they have hacked American political-related computer systems, elevated his bizarre loyalty to Putin to a new level by actually disputing the classified briefings about the hackings that he's gotten in which our spies drew him the proverbial map. Trump continues to say he would restructure the greatest wedge in the world against Russia, NATO, and would only lend American help to NATO countries menaced by, say, Russia, if they paid up. During the September presidential forum, Trump said Putin was a greater leader than Barack Obama, and with no apparent irony nor awareness that Putin is a dictator, cited Putin's approval ratings of 82%. The same month, the second man Trump named as one of his foreign policy advisors, Carter Page, was investigated by our intelligence agencies for allegedly meeting in Moscow with the Russian who supposedly supervises their attempts to mess up our election. After years of boasting, quote, I do have a relationship with him, Trump is recorded on video saying that he switched in September to a full denial that he even knows Vladimir Putin. And Trump has defended Putin's anger at the use of the phrase American exceptionalism, and Trump has refused to say anything when his own running mate Mike Pence called Putin small and bullying, and Trump denied the Russians had anything to do with the downing of a Malaysian airliner, and Trump has insisted Putin will never go into Ukraine, even though he went into Ukraine in 2014. Anybody seeing the plot lines of our movie, The Trump-churian Candidate, yet? There's one other writer's trick to which I must now confess. I omitted from my collection of quotations anything from the New York Times report this morning, quoting sources suggesting the FBI looked but found nothing necessarily nefarious about that reported direct line between a computer server in Trump Tower and the Russian company Alfa Bank. Nor, the Times said, Has the FBI found anything that ties Trump or anybody near him to the conclusion of American intelligence agencies, the one the FBI now seems to be finally grudgingly agreeing with, that the Russians are trying to disrupt the presidential election? But I'd point out that the Times report also confirms, quote, the FBI's inquiries into Russia's possible role continue. And the Times also quotes an op-ed in its own pages from this past August, in which former CIA Acting Director Michael Morell said simply, quote, in the intelligence business, we would say that Mr. Putin had recruited Mr. Trump as an unwitting agent of the Russian Federation. In sum, there is only one flaw with altering that one line from the Manchurian Candidate to insert it into our script for the Trump-churian Candidate and have it read, I think if Donald Trump were a paid Russian agent, he could not do more to harm this country than he is doing now. And that flaw is Trump may not be a paid Russian agent. He may just be stupid enough or disloyal enough or anti-democracy enough or just evil enough to be doing it for free. That's the closer. I'm Keith Olbermann. Watch this space.